This is not clickbait. You are no better than a drug addict. The reason for this is because the drug addict, he knows he shouldn't be shooting up heroin next to the metro station. But he wants to do it, and he does it. You, you know you shouldn't be scrolling on your phone, but you still do it. You're wasting your time. You're not doing your homework. You're not spending time with your family. You're not doing anything productive. You're wasting your time scrolling on your phone. You know you shouldn't be drinking, but every weekend you get completely blacked out at a club. So you know you shouldn't be doing something and you still do it. So how can you be better than a drug addict? Now, I do agree with you. The consequences of your, let's say, addictions are very different. If you're addicted to scrolling on your phone, you're probably going to have a much better life than if you were addicted to heroin. I agree with that. But do you see the problem? The drug addict and you have something in common, which is both of you have zero discipline. What is discipline? There's something that you really want to do, but you know it's bad for you. So you decide to make the right choice and not do it. Discipline is also not feeling like doing something, but you still get it done because that's what you have to do. That is discipline. Now, the problem here is that the drug addict, he doesn't have an addiction on scrolling on the phone, but he has an addiction of heroin. So for him, it will be pretty easy to not scroll on the phone if he has a phone, let's say, but it will be pretty hard to not shoot up heroin inside of his arm. For you, if I tell you, hey, wake up tomorrow and don't take heroin, is that going to be very hard for you? I don't think so. I don't think you will have to use discipline not to shoot up heroin inside of your arm. However, if I tell you, hey, tomorrow you're going to wake up and you're not going to scroll on your phone, oh, now it's going to be hard for you. Now you will have to use discipline to stop yourself from doing something that you really want to do, which is indulging in your addictions, which in this case might be scrolling on your phone. So you see, the same thing can have very different ways that it impacts someone's life. Somebody can be addicted to it. For someone else, it's not an addiction. Let's take an example. If right now you put in front of me the most delicious dessert made by Gordon Ramsay, I won't eat it. Why? Because I have a specific diet and I just won't eat that dessert. And I don't even need to use any discipline to prevent myself from eating that dessert. Why? Because I'm not addicted to food anymore. When I'm not addicted to food anymore, I don't need to use discipline not to eat it. It just became part of my life not to eat certain type of food. Now, was I addicted to food 4 years ago? Absolutely. And when I was addicted to food and I had to make some changes in my diet, then I was using a lot of discipline. It was very hard. When I was stopping to eat sugars, bread, pasta, it was very hard. But now, very easy not to eat it because it became a habit. So when people come up to me and they tell me, oh my God, your diet is so strict. How do you do that? You're so disciplined, Richard. Look, I don't even need to use any discipline to not eat that bad food. It is very easy now for me to just not eat garbage food. So, am I disciplined for that particular reason? Absolutely not. Because now it's a habit to have a strict diet. Back then, of course, I was very disciplined. I had to use a lot of discipline to transition into eating garbage food to eating good food. But now, I'm not using any discipline to continue that diet. And that's the trap. Listen closely. This is very important. If you believe that you're fine because, you're not a drug addict, you're not an alcoholic, you do good things, you go to school, you work, and you think you're fine. You think you don't have any addictions, and you're fine. Most likely, you are not. You have probably a lot of addictions that are very detrimental to your life. They're stopping you from being successful. They're stopping you from achieving a lot of goals. They're stopping you in a lot of your relationships, and you don't even realize it. You're addicted to a lot of things. You're addicted to degenerate music. You're addicted to food. You're addicted to video games, to Netflix. You're addicted to so many things that you don't even realize are affecting your life in a negative way. And those things, to change them, you have to use discipline. And that's the only way. You have to use discipline. And this might sound a little bit weird, but perhaps the same amount of discipline that you will need to stop eating garbage food is the same amount of discipline that a drug addict needs to stop doing cocaine in the public bathroom. It's very strange, right? But everything is relative. That's why I'm always pissed. I'm always pissed at myself because I consider that me not going for a run is the same thing as for a person not going to work. Me not being able to stop listening to degenerate music is the same thing as the alcoholic drinking a whole bottle of vodka. I consider those things the same thing because they have their own addictions, I have mine. And if I don't use discipline to fix them, then I'm no better than them. And the same thing applies to you. If you're not using discipline to fix your addictions, then you're no better than those drugs addicts. You're no better than those alcoholics. You're not better than them because they have to use discipline and they're not using it. You have to use discipline and you're not using it. So you're not better than them. And I'm not either. That's why I'm constantly pissed at myself. That's why I'm constantly working on fixing every single addictions that I can find in my own life. And you should do the same. Otherwise, you will never improve. Yeah, you might have a good life, let's say. Like, I guess if you're addicted to scrolling on your phone or you're addicted to garbage food, well, I guess you might not be financially successful and you might be a little bit fat, but you might still own a house and have a family. And if you're a drug addict, well, maybe you will end up in prison. So, again, the consequences of certain addictions might be worse than others. But in the end, all addictions that affect you in a negative way should be fixed by using discipline. And if you're not doing that, then you will suffer the consequences.